We've been going through times of change recently, and in the big picture, but also in the more immediate picture, with a couple of eclipses, as well as a potent Jupiter-Uranus conjunction, Mercury retrograde in Aries, an Aries new moon and solar eclipse. So lots of themes of shift and change, and not a lot of clarity just yet about what we're becoming and where we're heading. So I have some kind of deep thoughts for you today, especially as I reflected on a particular aspect that's happening. I don't talk about every single aspect here. There are so many all the time, and it would just get really technical, and I don't think that serves all of us in our self-care in the best way. But sometimes there's one that really speaks to me, and so today I want to share with you about the Mars-Neptune conjunction as we are preparing for Mars to head into Aries, and what all of that means. So my title for today is the Mars-Neptune conjunction on being and becoming. So I've got some deep reflections for you on sort of where we are and how to be thinking about where we are at this moment in time. I'm Marina Orms, here with your Astro Vibe for Sunday, April 28th. And thank you for being here. So if you have been following me, you know that we have been going through changes, like I listed them off, right? So in other words, the alignments of the planets in recent weeks have been such that we really can't do things the way we used to. We are really being pushed to step into new possibilities, and the discomfort that that can bring sometimes as we have this opportunity to really think about what's important to us. And so if you've been following me for a long time, you know, last moon cycle, back in February, March, we were talking about the Pisces moon cycle and how we're being asked to really connect with our heart's truth, with what brings meaning into our lives. And then we went from doing the work of that connection to meaning, to spirit, and what really feels important to us in our lives in the bigger picture. And we went from that we went through the Libra lunar eclipse, and then the Aries solar eclipse on April 8th. That was the big one that everybody was talking about. So with that Aries eclipse, not only is an eclipse a particular opportunity for change, but that Aries eclipse is and was it's about new beginnings. So Aries is the energy of new life force energy, will, drive, the need to take action, to take risks, to find the courage to do what we're here to do, to live authentically. And so just like, you know, all the new life in the springtime of the year, you know, babies are coming out and finding their wings and figuring out how to walk or whatever those babies are doing, right? Plants are figuring out how to thrive and grow. We're figuring out how to take care of our plants, all those things. And we're also cultivating and nurturing our own growth as we step into new possibilities for new cycles, right? Life is cyclical. We're stepping into a new cycle of growth for the year. And this particular new cycle begins with a potent Aries solar eclipse. So this Aries eclipse following Pluto going into Aquarius, which is itself a real shift in the background energies. Check out some of my videos about that if you don't know what I'm talking about. But The energies of change are here, and so this particular year, our time of new beginnings is particularly potent. We also have the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction beginning a new 14-year cycle of inviting us to step into new parts of ourselves, to awaken and discover who we can be and how we can be that we haven't really explored yet in our lives. So expanding into new possibilities for ourselves and our wholeness. Okay, so all that is going on, and the reason that the Mars-Neptune conjunction, which is happening Sunday night, evening, depends on your time zone, but the energy of Mars coming together with Neptune is important because not only are we in an Aries moon cycle when the energy of Mars is important. So Mars and Aries go together. Mars is the planet of action, courage. It is where we need to connect with our will, to take action in alignment with what we want to achieve, right? So we want to think about what it means and looks like to take action, and find courage when we need to take action to move in the world. And this has to do with starting new things, with new ventures, stepping into new ways of being. So it's all connected to that Aries energy. Mars is the energy of the warrior. So how do we need to take a stand up for ourselves? So as Mars comes together with the planet Neptune, and Mars has a 2-year cycle. So it's not the same in terms of background energies as the outer planets can be, but and so that's why I don't talk about it all the time. It's more like kind of happening all the time, right? Where is Mars today? But in this particular case, Mars is important because of the Aries energy. We also had Mercury retrograde in Aries, kind of asking us to be really clear about what we want to do as we step into new ways of being. So that Mercury retrograde during these eclipses, the eclipse time, the Aries new moon, the Mercury retrograde was saying, yes, step forward into new ways of being, but really, really think about what that is for you. And so just so much inside of us that's reorganizing, rearranging, getting ready for stepping into new ways of being. So this is if you've been feeling like what the heck is going on, this is what's going on. It's how we're changing. So the importance of Mars coming together with Neptune is that Neptune dissolves. Neptune is the planet of transcendence, of transcending limitations and boundaries. It deals with spirituality, which is about how we transcend our physical reality, right? It's not that it overcomes or replaces our physical reality, but it reminds us that there is a bigger picture. And so the things that our hearts feel and want, and the spiritual connection that is not always easy to put in words, but we know we feel it. When we feel that connection to the bigger mysteries of life. So when Mars comes together with Neptune, our drive, our will, our action, our impulses and instincts to take action kind of dissolves, dissipates, disintegrates into this bigger picture of the Neptunian energy that is more dreamy. And so after now, the interesting and unique thing about this time is that Neptune is also in very late Pisces. So Neptune has been in Pisces since 2008. That is nothing new. But as Neptune gets close to the end of Pisces, it will, this year, this summer, it will reach very, very close to Aries, but not quite. And so it's not until next year, 2025, when Neptune will go into Aries. But this summer, it gets very close to the end of Pisces and retrogrades back. So we're not done with Pisces yet. But the point is that because Neptune is at very late Pisces, as Mars approaches Pisces, it's also approaching as Mars approaches Neptune, it's also approaching the very end of Pisces. And Mars will be going into Aries, right? That point of rebirth, new beginnings, reorienting, restructuring, taking action from a new sense of self, getting our new legs, our new identities. So this interesting phenomenon is going on where Mars, which is how we move, how we take action, is passing by Neptune, where it just is dissolving into all that is. So that has to do with action in alignment with a dream, it could be foggy, it could be not very clear, it could be nebulous, it could be spiritual. So how we take action is in this kind of way that's like, well, let's try this, let's try this. It's kind of floaty. It's not super clear. I mean, it might have moments of clarity, but it's not like a feet on the ground kind of clarity. But once Mars goes into Aries, we will be moving in a direction. And so where that direction is important. We want to be in alignment with the bigger picture of what gives meaning to our lives, what is important in the bigger picture, what we care about, what's meaningful to our hearts, right? That we were focusing on during the Pisces moon cycle back in February and March. So that's why as Mars approaches Neptune, we want to be really harnessing this energy of remembering, of connecting with the bigger picture of spirit, of our dreams, our hopes, our visions for the future, our what we want, right? In that bigger, like, this would be great. This is what I can imagine. And so letting your imagination really tap into what makes you come alive, what makes your heart sing, because when Mars goes into Aries, we are going to be making decisions. Mars is about, it's time to do something. And so if you are not making a decision with a clear sense of purpose, of meaning, of truth, you're going to be making a decision anyway. And you don't want that decision to be coming from a place of unclarity or confusion. So in other words, we're allowing ourselves right now with Mars in late Pisces, and in a couple of days, Mars will be going into Aries. So that is happening on Tuesday. And right. So now, I mean, this is all happening pretty quick. So now, and we've been doing this work since February, right? So as we connect with this bigger picture of what brings meaning into our lives, we can allow the dream to infuse its energy, its tone, its qualities into our decision making as Mars goes into Aries, where again, we will be making decisions because that's a time to act and to move and to try our wings. And so yesterday I was sharing about being the butterfly coming out of the cocoon, and your wings are still wet and you're kind of like, what does this feel like? You know, who am I? What can I do with um my new set of tools, who I'm becoming? What are my creative abilities in this place? And so as we begin to spread those wings, um, Aries, Mars going into Aries is going to say, it's time to fly. So where are you going? And you're like, okay, maybe it would be good if I think about this uh, while I have this infusion from Neptune, from that bigger spiritual picture, to remind me of who I am, of why I'm here, of what I want that makes me come alive, what makes me feel good, what makes my heart sing. And so here's another metaphor for you. If you follow me, you know that I love metaphors. And I have two grown kids, and one of them is studying climate science in college. And so I have learned from my kiddo that clouds turn into rain. Right? This is exactly what we're talking about, right? We're talking about Neptune is the energy is the water that has evaporated. It is water that is dispersed. It has dissipated into the environment, into the everything. And that is such a great analogy for Neptune Pisces energy is dissolving, is becoming everything, right? I'm no longer this like condensed drop that lives in a particular place. I am the water. I am the water that is everywhere and everything. and so I don't have like this clarity of where to move or who I am or what I do from this shape. But what I do have is this perspective of what's important and how the bigger picture affects me and how I affect it, and what is my dream. So allowing that cloud to be the imagination that allows you to connect with, hey, what would I want my future to look like? What would I want to do? What would I want to create? How would that feel? How can I imagine for the world the things that I want? And so that cloud energy, that dissipated water into all that is, helps me connect with what's important in that bigger sense. Now, for clouds to become rain, which is the analogy of Mars going into Aries, right? It's a becoming, it's a condensation. And to become rain, clouds have to have they have to have water. Obviously, we know they're heavy with the evaporated water, but they have to have something called a condensation nucleus. And what a condensation nucleus is it's a particle or a whole bunch of particles that cause the water to cling to something. And they can be very tiny. They can be particulates like smoke or particles in the air. They can also be I think they can be liquid. So at any rate, there's something that forms in the cloud, and it starts with a condensation nucleus, and around that particle, the raindrop forms, right? And when it gets big enough and heavy enough, it drops as rain. And then we have a thing. We have the water dropping to earth where we can see it, where it's running somewhere, where we have a shape. I mean, water is, it needs a container, but it still has more of a shape than fog, um, for example, or a cloud. So the condensation nucleus is necessary for the Neptune and Pisces imagination, the dream, the spiritual feelings, the things that make us feel a certain way or feel connected, feel like we're one with everything. In order for that to become a raindrop, which is a new identity, a new sense of self, we have to have a condensation nucleus. So I want to encourage you to think about what is your own condensation nucleus. What are the principles that are important to you? What are your ideals? What is important to you in the big picture? What do you know and feel to be true about yourself and how it feels to come alive? Can you think back in your life to times when you really felt like you were coming alive, or you felt that creative spark, that spirit? You felt it land, you felt it grow, you felt something moving in the direction for your life that really made you feel like, yes, this is what is supposed to be happening. That is your condensation nucleus. So when you connect with that feeling of what it feels like to come alive, you are allowing the energy of all that is with this Neptune in Pisces that is becoming something new that will emerge and need to move with a particular shape, a particular identity, a sense of self, a sense of who you are, and how that might be. It's still you, right? You're still you. You're always you from birth to death, but you, and maybe beyond, right? But you are also becoming new. And what does it mean for you at this juncture in your life to step into new possibilities for yourself, to step into new creative directions, to step into new projects, new ways of new capabilities, new things that you have to learn, new things that you have to implement, new beginnings. So what is your condensation nucleus? What is your focal point as this transition of Mars going through the end of Pisces, passing by Neptune and preparing to head into Aries? What is your new sense of self being organized around? So I hope that's helpful. I think it will make sense to those of you who have been following me for a long time, because you kind of have the story of how we've been moving through all these cycles and energies as they've unfolded. If you're new to me, I hope that this is something you can wrap your mind around. I think it's super fascinating, and I would really encourage you to come back and follow me as we go through the unfolding of these cycles and how it shows up in our daily mood as we follow the moon sign, and how it shows up for us every day. So I will continue to be here for you with daily astrology for unshakable self-care. And I'd love to hear how this shows up for you, what it makes you think about or what you notice. Thank you so much for being here. I'm Marina Orms, and you can learn more about me at astrologyheals.com. Thanks for following, subscribing to this YouTube channel. Thanks for sharing with your friends, and passing this on if you find it interesting. All right, thanks so much for being here. I will see you next time. Bye for now.